I don't wanna say anything, cause if I do I might say the wrong words. Oh no. So I'll keep my mouth shut and not listen. Afraid I'd lose you if I didn't. Till we find what we're missing and compromise. So I'll keep my shoes on and not leaving. We're on thin ice, winter season. Can't we find a single reason not to say goodbye? Oh, if I said what's on my mind, would you stay with me tonight? If I said what's on my mind, would that make you run and hide? Run and hide. Run and hide. If I said what's on my mind, would that make you run and hide? Would that make you run and hide? Run and hide. Run and hide. Oh, would that make you run and hide? Don't know what to do anymore. I'm out of options, nothing's working. I'm out of service. Come help me now, I'm fucking nervous. I'm trying but can't scratch the surface. So I'll keep my mouth shut and not listen. Afraid I'd lose you if I didn't. Till we find what we're missing and compromise. So I'll keep my shoes on and not leaving. We're on thin ice, winter season. Can't wait.
It's the mutton chop millionaire Mortimer Blankenship III, the greatest mind in professional wrestling today. And I'm telling you, you are on the channel, the place to be. That's right, Cole TV, baby, and you can take that to the bank. Ha ha ha!
Greetings and salutations, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Pro Wrestling 60, where we cover everything that happened this past week in the world of professional wrestling. And tonight's a special live episode because we're supersized, baby, because we had a massive weekend this past weekend in the world of pro wrestling. We're going to talk about it. Of course, I'm joined by my partner in crime, my brother from another mother. This week, I believe he is actually now all the way back here in the States, coming from Yonkers, New York, I think. One Mr. B-Roll.
Depends. Do they have a Boosie's there?
Oh, I didn't realize you had a Boosie's hat on. Nice.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, had to put on such a big week in wrestling. Had to put on the formal attire here and get ready and talk some wrestling. And
Yeah.
Man, oh man.
Big weekend.
Yeah,
Kinda.
we talked about it on the prediction show, I think,
Mhm.
for All In, or we talked about it on something. Just that it's going to be just a good wrestling weekend.
And it
for
was,
many,
man. My
many
gosh, was it?
reasons, and yes, it was.
And before we get
but
started, I want to say this too. Happy what is it, like recognize your dog day or something like it. It's some day to recognize dogs. So we love our doggos here on
yes,
Cole TV. So I got mine too in the background. I think you can hear one of them playing with the squeaky, but Cassius Clay
Yeah.
loves his toys. So,
I'm sure one of
and
my
I'm sure Shadow will probably pop in like she did on our prediction show. So, yeah.
yep, either pop in or they'll be heard or seen one way or another. So
Well, and like we say, it was a big weekend. We do got extended time here tonight, but Mr. B-Roll, I'm going to let you hit us with that line because we got a lot to talk about.
yes, thankfully the network was gracious enough to give us
Yes.
an overrun, but we do still have a lot to talk about it. So let's get right into it. And I say the clock starts right now.
That's right. And of course, our big story of the week, All in London. The sequel took place this past Sunday at Wembley Stadium. Mr. B-Roll, it was a big, significant difference from what happened last year to this year, wouldn't you say?
It was, but I don't know that that's necessarily a bad thing.
Oh, okay.
But and yeah, I get the attendance thing was really cool last year, but I mean, I
Well,
don't know.
still, you have 55,000 people. I don't
I
care like what anybody says about the whole they didn't draw, but dude, that's a fuckload of people. If you didn't see it, I mean, it's a mass of people. And the thing is, they were having a great time. It looked like a wonderful atmosphere. I would want to be there. I mean, my gosh, it looked amazing. The show from top to bottom was awesome. And I think it was, I remember I was watching the presser on it afterwards. It was a good vibe. Like, this is what it should have felt like last year. We all know what happened last year. It is what it is, right? A year later, we've moved on. Like, both parties that was involved in that are in a much better position. So, uh, I felt like this was just like truly felt like a successful show. Not that last year's wasn't successful, but it was clouded because of the bullshit from last year. So it was just, I guess what I'm trying to say is it was refreshing to go into this show and come out of this show just like with a positive vibe. I gotta be honest with you, B-Roll. I haven't felt this good coming out of an AEW show, dare I say, maybe since the All Out from a couple years ago with the double debut. I mean, this just felt, it feels all is right in the world of All Elite Wrestling. But absolutely, I love the show from top to bottom. What do you think?
yeah, I mean, it was. I was gonna say, arguably, if you were taking the two from last year and this year, this might have been the better overall show. I mean,
I think so, honestly, and I'm not
it
just saying that
was
because it's,
absolutely loaded.
yeah, I'm not saying that because it's fresh in our minds or anything, but better build, better. But I don't know. It just it feels like I say everything feels right in the world of All Elite Wrestling. Was an awesome show, but let's talk about it. And of course, we got to start first and foremost with that main event in the world of pro wrestling. Your job, what you want to see as a fan, you want to go on an emotional roller coaster. And I got to tell you, this match delivered and then some. Um, Easily a candidate for the match of the year. It could be match of the year. I mean, this is a match we're going to be talking about years to come. We're talking about that World Championship main event between Daniel Bryanson and Swerve Strickland. A lot was on the line in this one. The AEW title versus Bryan Danielson's career. And going into it, honestly, I was 50-50. I knew what I wanted, but what we got is, man, it was one of those things. Instant classic is the best way I can describe it because I
Yep.
literally went back and watched this match after GCW Homecoming last night, just because I had to relive that moment again and like just the roller coaster that these two performers went on. Swerve is phenomenal. Swerve's one of the best going today. But you could easily say this may be his magnus opus as far as like matches in AEW so far. Because I mean,
Yep.
this like he and I even Brian Danielson said this in the press conference is how like Swerve was the one that carried this going into it with the build and stuff, which is everything that Swerve Strickland did. If you were not a Swerve Strickland fan before this, you damn sure should be now because I mean everything that man has done. This world title reign of his was incredible. Uh, but I mean, I can't say enough good things about Swerve Strickland and that world championship run. But here we are now. The American Dragon gets to keep his career alive. as he is now the All Elite Wrestling World Champion. And to me, B-roll, it just everything felt right about this. The drama of the matchup, the finish, like the back and forth with this. I mean, tell me, what are your thoughts on this amazing matchup?
Yeah, we had a fairly lengthy discussion on, okay, like what's going to be our match of the week, right?
Yeah,
Because arguably you said you went back and watched this one, right? Arguably there's easily three matches on this card
could have
that
been match
like
of the week and our contenders
c-
for match of the year.
yeah, and like that's the feeling I got. Like I want to go watch them. I want to go watch them again. Like it was that good. It lived up to the hype, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm.
But you know when you boiled it down, because we were like, man, we could go this match of the week, we could go this, but this was the best match.
Yeah, yeah. It was hard to pick. We had several contenders, but it was just like you can't go against this matchup because it's seriously like and trust me, I was at WrestleMania 40. The emotion of that night is like second to none, but this gives it a run for its money. Like
Yeah,
and to me, as far as like the match of the year so far, if you was asking me, I would tell you honestly, it's this match, just because
yeah,
of so much. This to me was it was a big fight feel. Like the aesthetics of it was right with the being in Wembley Stadium, with the crowd, with the story going into it, and the end. Like WrestleMania 30, WrestleMania. That was an incredible night. But I don't know. There's something about this because this was the American Dragon getting one of the top prizes in all pro wrestling. Whether you love all elite wrestling or not, it was an amazing moment, an amazing matchup. You cannot take that away from Brian Danielson. And of course, like you say, it's our match of the week here on PW60 was this matchup between Swerve Strickland and Brian Danielson. I absolutely loved his family being ringside and just the facial expressions of Brian Danielson throughout this out. Like, I love you. I'm sorry, just like apologizing to his family because he's like, he knew what he had to do as a competitor. God, this was so fucking good. And I mean, Brian Danielson's run in AEW has been phenomenal, but you could easily say this may have been his best match he's had so far. That's saying something. And of course, we had to make the American Dragon our wrestler of the week here on PW60. Like, everything about this story was awesome. I am very interesting for Wednesday night because a lot of the big thing going into this, a lot of us thought this was going to be maybe Brian's last match because, well, he hasn't really re-signed that contract yet with AEW. So, and he's already said, like, this is pretty much his last year. So, where we go from here, I don't know. And there's some other interesting elements on this show that could present some things we want to see on down the road too with the American Dragon, which we'll talk about. But like this match from top to bottom, from bell to bell, it was an all-time classic, and it's something we're going to be talking about years to come. Is this matchup for the AEW title at All In 2024? But like you say, that wasn't the only match on this show. My God, did this matchup live up to the hype and then some? Easily the best built story going into All In this year was the matchup between Toni Storm and Mariah May for the AEW Women's Championship. And this is another one where it truly, truly delivered. This matchup, I was on the edge of my seat. The Mariah May, the stuff, the work she did in this, man, the going even to like slapping her mom, like just showing like how ruthless she's become, this like psychotic, like over just insane character, willing to do anything to win that AEW Women's Championship. And a lot of back and forth in this one. It seemed like Tony was going to retain, but Mariah May getting easily the biggest win of her life and is now your AEW Women's World Champion. What did you think of this incredible matchup?
oh it I mean, that's the best way to describe it. It was incredible, despite having to go on second, which
We're going to talk
we're
about that.
we don't want to
Yeah,
gripe
I
too
don't
much,
want to
but
cloud on
come
the
on,
on it, but
come on.
it's complete utter bullshit that this match went on second. Like we talked about this at ad nauseum yesterday and theorized different things. Um, s- Maybe moving the women's matches around, which we're going to talk about the other women's match here in a minute. Um, you brought up a good point too, because that would have been right after the Osprey MJF matchup. And I mean, to go from that roller coaster to the other roller coaster, would that have been too much for the crowd? We don't know. But there's no fucking reason. If you were going to put this on early, you open the show with this, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You don't put second is like one of those, it's like a dead zone for like pro wrestling, like on pay per view. It's not a good spot. It doesn't make sense for one of your main event matchups to be on number two. And this, like I say, in my opinion, outside of the main event, this was the second best match on the show. And that's saying something because we got another one we're going to talk about here in a minute. But
But yeah,
just
I mean,
just
I'm
utter ridiculousness that this match was second on the show. I'm sorry. Don't want to dwell on it and take away from what was an impressive matchup. But I tell you what, these two ladies, they brought it and they showed the rest of the AEW locker room, especially that women's locker room, was like, okay, top that.
yeah, and I'm impressed that they did do the title change because I didn't know if they would.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a star-making performance, and we're with the whole eulogy and the media scrum, like we're not done. We're not
No, we're
we're
just
not we're
beginning.
not done here.
I think I said this on the prediction show. Like the wise man Paul Heyman says, I think we're just in the third inning with this rivalry. And that's the thing. Like, I can't not recall. It's hard. It's hard to think of somebody, but I can't think of somebody that was signed to AEW that pretty much outside North America nobody had really seen, and for them to bring them in, build them up, and put the title on them, like everything they have done with Mariah May has been strategic and has been very well done. And kudos to AEW for getting that right. Other than, like I say, the placement of the match, but nonetheless, this was an amazing matchup. And this is another match I think we're going to be talking about for years. In my opinion, as far as the build and as far as the delivery of the matchup, this is one of those matchups I put up right there with like a Bailey versus Sasha Banks from the NXT in Brooklyn. I put it up there with the Trish Stratus and Mickey James from WrestleMania 22. It was that damn good. And I can't wait to see where we go from here, man. This match was just, it's lived up to the hype and then some. And Mariah May is your new world AEW Women's World Champion. Uh, like I say, I can't recall another somebody being brought in and actually being built like right like this. So it's awesome to see, man. It was an incredible matchup. But speaking of incredible matchups, we got to talk about this one as well. MJF, Will Ospreay, a return matchup for that Americans Championship, as MJF was dubbing it. Hard act for them to follow from their first matchup they had at Dynamite 250. But it's a different type of matchup, but the storytelling in this one, in ring physicality, was magnificent. Like everything about it. We knew about the going in about the stuff with the Tiger Driver and stuff, and Osprey MJF pretty much telling Osprey he's like he could, just because he does flips and shit, that doesn't make him a great performer. And Osprey he's been nailed with that his career, which to me B-roll is insane. This man can tell a story in that ring. Did you not see the matches he had with Kenny Omega? I mean, shit, man. Like, and now the stuff he's doing with MJF. Osprey, I know he's your boy, and I love him dearly too. But Osprey to me is on another level as far as like what he can do in that ring and the storytelling he can do. What do you think of this big matchup at Wembley between these two?
You know, I think the key words are going to be Osprey and Wembley because that crowd, like I mean, the competitors were great, but man, that crowd just made this all the better.
Oh yeah,
And because they were so red hot, obviously for Osprey, um, but it was one of those things like you kind of like you thought knew what was gonna happen, but like it didn't really matter. Like
no,
I
no,
mean,
it was so good. Everything about it. And like I say, it's a different style matchup. I mean, the same style, but a different in the sense of like what they did in that damn near 60-minute match on Dynamite. But still, it
Well,
worked. It was great.
yeah, the 60 minutes match was kind of like balls to the walls. This one was more methodical, more in your head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
that's the
was.
best way to describe it. It was a more methodical matchup. And hey, we got that big return of Daniel Garcia, which the crowd went ballistic when he showed up. I mean, Daniel Garcia is freaking over. Can't wait to see what we got going for MJF. And we do know at All Out, it's going to be Pac against Will Ospreay for that international championship, and that's going to be, as the kids say, a banger. But yeah, and of course, I liked at the end Ospreay not accepting the American Championship. He's like, nope, that's not mine. But then they get him back the international title. The international championship has been restored, and all is right in the world of All Elite Wrestling. But I do think this. I think for now, we're gonna put a pause, perhaps, on this MJF Ospreay story. But you can guarantee, like somewhere on down the road, they're gonna pick up this rival again, and it's like, hey, it's tied 1-1, so that's going to be pretty awesome. So, like everything that they did with going into this was great, and this once again another match that delivered after the hype. Absolutely love this matchup. Oh, let's talk about this Crimea River, the coffin matchup for the TNT Championship with Darby Allin challenging one Jack Perry, two of the pillars going at it in AEW. Like first and foremost, we say this all the time when we get in some Darby Allin match like this. How fucking crazy is that kid? He comes out with thumbtacks glued to his head, like so he won't get attacked. And of course, you knew there was going to be glass involved in this one because I mean,
Yes. Let me ask you this: has a foreign object ever been more over?
I don't think so. No, I mean
Because
there was no way
they
around it. The crowd was going to, of course, talk about this because as we all know, what happened last year at All In with the infamous Jack Perry Punk incident. But yeah, this was a fun little matchup. I mean, I felt like it was a little short, but I think it was just because, hey, we got a main event to get to, where it was sandwiched in was a little tough. But for all things considering, they did good. And Jack Perry going over, man, continuing that streak. He is, man, he is doing a great job right now, whether you love the scapegoat or not. But Mr. B-Roll, we got to talk about it at the end. Darby's getting attacked pretty much by the Elite and Jack Perry, or the Bucks and Jack Perry from the Elite. Getting ready to set him on fire. And who shows up? It's Sting! That's right, the Stinger's showing up. Of course, as we all know, Sting's retired, but that doesn't necessarily mean he'll pop up every now and then. And like Sting coming out at Wembley, first time we've seen him since his retirement. I mean, this felt like this was a smart move. And coming out with the bat, just Sting looks great. It's Sting, man. I mean, what more can you say? We love Sting.
It's just Sting. I had heard this was kind of maybe like a last minute thing. Like they had Grado, but Grado ended up being busy. So, but
so they get Sting.
It's nice to have the Stinger in your back pocket.
Yeah, for obvious reasons. Well, it's that time of the show. We need some advice, my friends. Let's go to Dad Hat with Dad Hat's tip of the week.
It's that time of the week again. Dad Hat's Life Lessons of the Week. Brought to you by World Championship Wreckage. Find them on YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok. And also by the Wrestle Talk Wolfpack. 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. every Wednesday, twitch.tv/Wrestle Talk Wolfpack. And now, here's Dad Hat.
All right, kids. Always remember, it's okay to flaunt it a little bit. It's okay to let that ego shine through. Because when you are the goat of all goats, it's totally fine.
Somebody needs to stop. Oh my God! It's Sting!
I got goosebumps just watching that again, dude. So, oh man, what a great moment. Now, though, we got to talk about this because this one's kind of, I don't know. I think people are 50-50. We're talking about the Mercedes Moné Britt Baker matchup for the TBS Championship. We mentioned earlier that great matchup between Tony and Mariah. The fact that this match, I think a lot of people, myself included, were super pissed that this match went on as late as it did in comparison. And I think that really hurt this matchup. Was
Well,
it a
and
bad match? No, it wasn't a bad match. It was an okay matchup. It wasn't bad, but it just the placement of it just didn't feel right. And I do think though, the fans, us bitter, fickle wrestling fans, it's going to continue to kind of build up with us kind of really, I don't want to say hate, but like really just like screw you, Mercedes Moné. But I think that's something they can take and turn and switch because I mean that's what she's playing right now is this heel, this assholey heel. But the biggest gripe I got about this matchup is the way this ended, the finish, because Camille gets sent to the back, Mercedes goes over clean. What good does that do? I don't get that. So she just pretty much beat Britt Baker, who was a viable competitor, and now what does Britt do? Like what's her game here? Like how does she get she goes back to the bottom of the line? I don't know. That's the biggest thing I question out of this. What do you think of the TBS championship matchup at All In?
like you hit the nail on the head. By no means was this. It wasn't a bad matchup, but man, there was just some things that didn't make sense about it. As far as placement on the card, and then just like you said, the finish. And because I know we haven't talked about the pre-show yet, but
There was
and
something else that happened too. Yeah, that
yeah,
should have been on the main card.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's the best.
Like
You just summed it up there.
missed.
It's just I don't know. Like, and I'll tell you this, and I know we've talked about this with our good buddy Hambone. I know he's not a big Mercedes fan. To me, this is what did it. Like, okay, like I'm on the train of like, you know what? Fuck Mercedes Moné. I don't want her. Like she's pissing me off. I don't. But then again, that's what she's supposed to be doing, right? You're supposed to hate her, right? So, job well done there, I guess. But I don't know. This one's just to me was a big head scratcher because this was one of the marquee matchups going into the show. But I think like we said earlier, if you would have placed Tony Storm in that spot with Mariah right after MJF and Ospreay, that would have been I don't know. I think it would have worked. Some people may not agree with that, but I don't know. It to me it was a big part of what ruined this matchup for me. Not like I say, not a bad matchup, but I was not satisfied with how this one went down. And this one's kind of a weird one. We got new trios champions and Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, and Pac. And I guess Pac is Pac in the BCC because he came out at the end of the night in Wembley to celebrate with Danielson. Like,
Yeah,
is that what we're doing here?
I don't know.
I mean, I'm okay with that. I'm not mad at that in the least bit, but
well, I'm sure we'll get some clarity eventually. And where the heck is John Moxley? And
yeah,
we know what we think we know with the Lucha Brothers and
yeah.
Death Triangle. So
maybe that's now he's going over to the BCC, which once again I'm not mad at, but did not have them winning this matchup, to be honest. Of course, we didn't even know they were in it until Saturday night from Collision. They come in and they get the W. Of course, I think the big thing is with Pac, he's getting his moment at Wembley. I mean, that's the coolest thing for me. Is the way I look at it.
It's kind of like this wasn't done for the trios titles. It was done for Pac. Like that's
100%.
That's like
100%. And that's kind of what you talked about on the pre-show too. Is it just seems like the trios titles are just kind of meh. They're just I don't know. They're there. So, but nonetheless, congratulations to him. Nonetheless, and he deserves to get that moment at Wembley. So, but the Patriarchy losing the trios championship, and there was a lot of dissension at the end of this one as Killswitch walks out on Christian Cage, and later on it would be addressed in the night, but we would be turned on yet again as Luchasaurus, as we thought we got Luchasaurus in the gauntlet matchup, but nonetheless, he ended up, he still kill switch, and guess what? Christian Cage upsets everybody and wins the Casino Gauntlet match at All In, which I did not see this coming at all.
Not in a million years.
I was a little when he came out, I was like, "Oh, okay, this is kind of fun," but I would have never guessed he would have won the matchup. And as soon as Lucha or Killswitch come down, and even the Luchasaurus Titantron plays or and the music hits, like, oh my god, he's gonna get his moment, and then nope, he ends up staying with Christian Cage, and now Christian's the #1 contender for the World Championship.
Yeah.
Uh,
And
Good for Christian. I love Christian. A lot of people have said this, myself included. I think Christian's doing some of the best work he's done of his career. It was awesome to see. I mean, there were some other great competitors in this matchup. Which, by the way, let's go into detail on that. The Gauntlet match, I loved the Gauntlet match. It went above and beyond. It was full of surprises, and there was some great physicality in this one. Some stories was told, but for me, this is what made the Gauntlet match right here. The in-ring return of Nigel McGuinness. I got to be honest. I got emotional in that main event, but I got emotional on this too because this is the man who never thought he would wrestle again. Been pretty much retired from in-ring competition, I believe, for 13 years. He looked great, by the way. And I mean, he did an amazing job in this gauntlet match. That Wembley Stadium like erupted when Nigel McGuinness came out. I mean, it was so awesome, and I hope and pray that we get a one more time Nigel McGuinness and Bryan Danielson. It's got to happen. It's got to happen. Like if that's Danielson's last matchup, then I fucking love that. I want that to be his last matchup. But I was so happy for Nigel. Like he deserves it, and it was an awesome moment. And this matchup was full of awesome moments too. This was a pretty cool one too. The recently G1 champion Zack Sabre Jr. showed up and was a part of the gauntlet as well. Had a massive ovation. Got to lock up with Nigel McGuinness with that, so that was really cool. So it was awesome to see CSJ in it. But we also got to talk about this. It's been we knew going into this it was a heavy rumor. Where the rumors have come true. Ricochet has signed with All Elite Wrestling as he made his debut in this gauntlet matchup. It was great seeing him. He looked amazing. Excited of seeing a Ricochet Ospreay matchup on down the road because that's what everybody's wanting. That's what they're clamoring. But there's also going to be so many other great matchups there for Ricochet. I truly believe this was a good move, like on his behalf. I know a lot of times people can come over, they get lost in the shuffle, but I don't know. There's just something special about his in-ring capability. Ricochet, he is one and only, really. I mean, and it's going to be interesting to see what he does in All Elite Wrestling. But so many great stories, like I said, was told in that gauntlet. The stuff with Hangman Page, Jeff Jarrett getting a huge pop coming out in it. It was an awesome matchup on the show. A hidden gem, I would say, because I wasn't expecting much out of that one. We also had the World Tag Team titles were on the line as the Young Bucks defended against the Acclaimed and FTR, which was an okay matchup. Like, it didn't do anything to it wasn't like all time classic, but it was a fun matchup on the show. But what I take away most was the end of this. How about this? The grizzled young veteran showing up pretty much to lay claim to the tag titles. Of course, they attacked FTR, which, God, that's going to be a great feud. But excited to see the grizzled young veterans in AEW. I think they had done some work in Ring of Honor before, but it seems I'm putting them on the big stage at Wembley. Yeah, this is going to be pretty fucking exciting. I can't wait to see it.
And they really catered to women.
To the UK crowd, this show. Yeah. And it was great. I loved it. I was there for every bit of it, man. It was fucking awesome. But let me tell you, it wasn't awesome. This shit. This match should have been on the pre-show. I don't care. Everybody says Jericho is one of the greats. Yeah, but it's time. The learning tree stuff we've kind of went back and forth on. It's been kind of enjoyable, but it's just I didn't need this matchup. I didn't ask for this matchup. This was like the crescendo of this rivalry that had been going on for 3 or 4 or 5 months, or whatever the hell it's been.
Crescendo. I
3 or
feel like
4 or
we've had
5.
about 50, 100 crescendos.
No
on this.
shit, right? Like I feel like God. To me, this match should have been on the pre-show. No disrespect to either of them, but I just
Okay.
I'm tired. I'm tired of the Hook
only,
Jericho stuff, and I don't know where Jericho goes from here.
There's only
Because I truly
good
feel
thing
like
to come out of this.
okay,
I'm gonna give you the good. Taz got physical. That's the good.
did he though? I mean, that was I don't know what's going on there, but yeah, it was kind of cool to see. But I don't know. I feel like I want Jericho to go away for a while, just so we can come back with a fresh coat of paint or something. Because to me, it's just I don't know. To me, it's like the best way I can describe it. B-roll is like, okay, he's been doing some cool stuff in AEW. There's no doubt about that. But it's like we keep putting a fresh coat of paint on after fresh coat of paint, and I'm seeing through the painting, and I can see the original. Like it just we need to go away. You need to go away. Focus on Fozzy, do something, whatever. And the learning tree stuff, it's fun and all, but it's just the greatness of Chris Jericho. It to me is being diminished right now. It's just, he needs to go away. That's the best way I can put it. He needs to go away, and then he can come back after a while. Well, let's talk about Zero Hour, which was a big pre-show. One of the best pre-shows I've ever seen, man. Of course, you had the big, like, 16-man tag, a 10-man tag, that mixed tag with Willow Nightingale and Tomohiro Ishii going up against Stokely and Chris Statlander. But the big moment, like you said, this is the moment that should have been on the pay-per-view, in our opinion. The in-ring return or debut or whatever you want to call it of Jamie Hayter was back in AEW. We've been clamoring for that. I love the segment with Saraya coming out with her family and stuff. And I tell you what, the stuff Saraya did at the freaking the press conference afterward was great. And I hope that goes somewhere because I feel like they have not done shit with Saraya. So hopefully that leads to something. It's great to see Jamie Hayter back and it's just loading up that women's division. But Zero Hour I thought was actually a pretty good pre-show, man. I was hyped.
Yeah, I would love to kind of see like a female version of like the CM Punk and Drew McIntyre feud. Because Saraya kind of came in and interrupted the media scrum like Drew did, and like it would be cool.
Yeah, I can dig it, man. Well, nonetheless, All In was just an amazing show from top to bottom. We loved every bit of it. Even on the 0 Hour show had some great moments. Yeah, haven't done so, go get the replay, go watch it because I mean it's a great show. It felt like a big hyped show, a big arena show, and all the matches delivered. In all honesty, so well, want to give a shout out to our good buddy, the Best Scout Machine, because Best Scout wasn't actually able to watch All In live as he had to work, and unfortunately, he did lose his power when he was watching the replay. But thank God he did get to finish the show. Then he was kind enough to give us like some thoughts he had about All In, or the biggest takeaway for him from All In. So check this out.
You know what? All In from London just finished up, and I just feel like, man, who needs Samantha Irving thirst traps when you got MJF right here? Was I watching All In from Wembley, or was I watching the Great British Bake Off? All that cake? Who said that? And what's this? Now we got MJF and Will Ospreay in it. Oh, it's too much to handle. Double trouble. No, seriously, who is saying that? That would be me. Smooth talking R&B singing Gout. Oh, yes. Hey, Gout, you forgot something. Oh, yeah, thanks. Shania Twain! Wait, who was that? Where'd he go? There can be only
Well, thank you, Best Scout. Well, hey, as we said, it was a massive weekend in the world of pro wrestling. Not only did we have All In, easily GCW's All In and WrestleMania combined took place this past weekend as Homecoming took place from Atlantic City. and nights 1 and 2 both were incredible. A lot happened on this, and thankfully, we've got our good friend Cake Face Carly, who reports all of our GCW stuff here now on PW60. Has got a report on this amazing homecoming. So let's go to Carly for a GCW report.
What's up, PW60 fam? I'm Cake Face Carly, your GCW bestie, and I'm here to talk about everything that went on this past week on Game Changer Wrestling and what's coming up next. Last week was very important for GCW as one of the biggest events of the year took place. Homecoming Night 1 and Night 2 took place this past Saturday and Sunday, August 24th and 25th. First, let's talk about all the craziness that went down on Night 1. Kicking off Night 1 was an amazing match between Matthew Justice and the main one, Zillafat 2. And let's face it, these two literally set the bar for the entire night. Ultimately, nothing was stopping the main one from getting a victory. Next was Sidney Hakeem going against Tony Deppen in a high-flying, high-risk matchup that was very impressive. Although it was a back-and-forth bout, Sidney Hakeem won, keeping his undefeated streak going strong. We then had the first of 3 fucking death matches as Los Macizos took on Brandon Kirk and Casey Catal. A great display from both teams. However, Los Macizos could not get on the same page to pick up a victory, which kind of affected their momentum for Night 2. Congrats to the Kirks. Then was another fucking death match with 2 deathmatch superstars, Big Effing Joe and the Duke of Hardcore, John Wayne Murdoch. Literally everything a deathmatch fan could dream of, including tree limbs and a weed whacker, along with all other deathmatch goodies. It was incredible, but in the end, Big Effing Joe won. Masha Slamovich and Galeno Del Mal ended up putting up a wonderful match, but despite Galeno's size and agility, there was nothing stopping the Russian Dynamite from winning. Next was a very highly anticipated match as the Maharaja Rajdesi and the Bollywood Boys took on Thrussie, and Manders took the place of Alley Catch. There was a whole lot of carnage and a very impressive showing from the former WWE superstar, but in the end, the faces were able to get over as Effie and his team won. Then was a ghoulish match for the ages as Ultramantis Black took on very nice, very evil Danhausen. Curses, hypnosis, a lot of great wrestling, nothing negative to say about this match. And I was actually a little surprised to see Danhausen be victorious in this one. Megan Bayne then issued an open challenge to anybody. To not only Vipers responded, but a return of Sawyer Wreck and none other than TNA Knockout Champion, the Juggernaut, Jordan Grace. Easily one of the fights of the night, and the crowd was going insane as all 4 of these women put on an amazing showcase. However, Bayne ended the match by giving a tombstone to Vipers as Sawyer Wreck and Jordan Grace ended up taking their side of the match to the back. Next was supposed to be Nick Gage going against Drew Parker. However, Brett Lauderdale announced that Gage would be gone until further notice for undisclosed reasons. But none other than Brandon Kirk took the place of Nick Gage as he went for his second fucking death match of the night. Another massacre was displayed in the ring, and dare I say, it was beautiful. Once again, for the second time in one night, Brandon Kirk ended up winning. Then, the main event of the evening was for the GCW World Championship in a 3-way ladder match. And it was Joey Janela versus Blake Christian versus Mance Warner. First off, all these men showed out in their entrance in grand fashion. Although this was not deemed a death match, it was a bloody and brutal war, and the crowd was going absolutely insane the entire time. There was help that came out on all sides, but one that was most intriguing was none other than WWE Hall of Famer John Layfield, also known as JBL, coming to the aid of Mance Warner. Although all men were valiant in their battle, the Mancer era continues as he became our undisputed GCW World Champion. Now, Night 2 was a great night, but in my humble opinion, it didn't have that same awe as the first night had. But let's talk about some of the amazing highlights. First, Zillafat 2's second match of the weekend as he went against Speedball Mike Bailey. The collision of two very different styles worked so fluidly together. It was an intense match with a shocking ending as the main one picked up his first singles loss in GCW. One of my favorites of the night was the cold-blooded killer Charles Mason taking on Fuego del Sol. With the intense rivalry these two had, this match was nothing short of amazing. The important part, however, was at the end of the match when Richard Holiday came out and accidentally gave Fuego the chair, to which of course he used on Charles Mason, hit him with a tornado DDT, and won. We then got to see our first turn of the evening as Richard Holiday and Pero turned on Charles Mason and even got him arrested. Free Charles Mason! Megan Bayne and Masha Slamovich had an all-out battle until Steph DeLander ruined it for Megan Bayne, and Masha was able to do a rear naked choke to retain her JCW title. Another battle with betrayal was with Los Macizos during their opportunity against Violence is Forever for the GCW tag team titles. It was a shorter match that actually started from the back and worked its way to the ring. But once again, Los Macizos could not stay on the same page, which led them to losing against Violence is Forever. And it is official, Los Macizos is no more, as Miedo Extremo brutally and violently attacked Ciclope after their match. We had a Team USA versus Team UK death match, and it was a great time and the crowd had a lot of fun. However, in the end, Matt Tremont, Hoodfoot, and Brandon Kirk from Team USA were able to win. Last but not least, in our main event was the in-ring return of our GCW Deathmatch General Manager, Matt Cardona, and Broski Jimmy in very amazing Jurassic Park gear, taking on Matt Hardy and Joey Janela taking Nick Gage's spot. Overall, an amazing tag team match where all four men got a chance to shine. Joey Janela became a Hardy Boy for the day as he was able to do some very Team Extreme shit with Matt Hardy. But in the end, Matt Hardy was actually able to use light tubes on Matt Cardona, hit him with a twist of fate, and picked up a win for his team. Last weekend was one we will never forget as GCW fans, but coming up this week, this Saturday, August 31st, in Chicago, is the only event for GCW called Live Fast, Die Young. Some of the matches already mentioned are Mustafa Ali taking on Sidney Akeem, so Chicago native versus undefeated streak. Miyu Yamashita taking on the Megasis Megan Bayne. And Gringo Loco looking for a title shot against Mance Warner for the GCW World Championship. Will he put an end to the Mancer era? I guess we shall see. That concludes all the hype for GCW for you guys. And if you haven't already, I hope you give GCW a chance after today. Okay, thanks, bye. Back to you guys.
All right. Thank you so much, Carly. And seriously, do your all self a favor. Go back if you can. Watch it on Triller, the replays, because Homecoming was amazing. One of the best shows I've seen in years. It was awesome. Well, as crazy as big of a week as it was in wrestling, of course, we got to talk about WWE. It's hard to believe we're just talking about them now, but let's talk about Raw this past Monday night, which we continue to build towards Bash at Berlin. Solid show. Of course, Punk coming out, pretty much laying it out that there's going to be a strap match at Bash at Berlin between him and Drew. That's going to be awesome. I love me a good strap matchup, and that is going to be I can't wait to see that. That's probably the most excited match I am for Bash at Berlin, in all honesty. We also got to see Bronson Reed continue his reign of terror on Monday Night Raw. Dirty Dom going up against Damian Priest, but that didn't quite go as well as a Priest and Rhea Ripley wanted it to. And Damage Control going up against the Pure Fusion Collective, which, man, that's such a weird name to me. And Isla Dawn and Alba Fire for the women's tag titles. Of course, they retained, and that main event was pretty solid too, with Ludwig Kaiser going up against Randy Orton. And of course, we got the Wyatt Six coming out. We do know that Uncle Howdy's in-ring debut will take place tonight on Monday Night Raw. So against Chad Gable, that's going to be awesome. But Raw was a solid show, but as solid as Raw was, SmackDown was just as good, man. And the biggest, honestly, between Danielson and this man, it was a toss up for wrestler of the week. We went listen to our heart, but I think Tangaloa could have easily been wrestler of the week this week. I mean, he did practically get the tag team titles handed to him. Let the internet memes begin. But interesting segment there with the bloodline. Of course, now Jacob Fatu is being deemed as the enforcer, the right hand, if you will, of one Solo Sokoa. So he thus asked him to give the title to Tangaloa. And of course, the Bloodline did go on to retain their tag titles against the Street Profits. We also ended up getting a tag team main event with A-Town Down Under going up against Cody and KO. LA Knight retained his U.S. Championship against Santos Escobar. Overall, man, solid show. Oh, and we can't forget that big 6-woman tag match with the Unholy Union going up against Jade, Bianca, and Naomi. But I mentioned A-Town Down. It's this Down Under. This has been a saga going on for weeks, months, it feels like. And of course, you know, our Tribal Queen Bree has got something to say about. So let's go to Bree with Tribal Queen Tidbit of the Week.
Hey, hi, hello. It is your Tribal Queen Bree with your Tribal Queen Tidbit of the Week. And again, we did not get the Austin Theory face turn that I have been hoping for, that I know some of the Austin Theory fans have been hoping for too. He did have a match with Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens, which was great to close out the show of SmackDown. I mean, hey, shout out to them. Even though I'm not a fan of the tag team anymore of A-Town Down Under, because I want this face turn to happen so badly, they got a main event, you know, even though it was against Cody and Kevin and they kicked their butts. But at this point, it's still like the waiting game. When is it going to happen? When are they going to pull the trigger? If they are ever. Because at this point, I don't know. I want to know what everybody else thinks. But that was your Tribal Queen Tidbit of the Week.
Thank you, Bree. And hey, we mentioned it earlier. Bash in Berlin. It is coming up. It's hard to believe it's this Saturday. Can you believe that, Mr. B-Roll? There's so much wrestling. Cannot believe, but the next big WWE event is coming this Saturday from Berlin. And I love what they're doing with these individual ones that aren't like the big ones. I love that you get the 5 matches. They're all solid matches. You could say main event style matches. But the matches that you will see at Bash at Berlin, of course, we mentioned you will see that strap match between Drew and Punk. We now know the women's tag titles are going to be on the line as Isla Dawn and Alba Fire will defend against former champions Bianca Belair and Jade. Also, that big mixed tag match with Dirty Dom and Maria going up against, Dirty Dom and I'm so used to Dirty Dom and Rhea, I can't get over it. Dirty Dom and Liv going up against Rhea and Damian Priest. Of course, the big world championship with Gunther against Randy Orton and the WWE Championship on the line with Kevin Owens challenging Cody Rhodes. This Saturday is looking to be solid, my friend. Cannot wait to see Bash in Berlin. And we'll have a prediction show for you for Bash in Berlin later this week here on Cole TV. Well, let's talk about NXT from this past Tuesday night. Another great show as we're building up to No Mercy. A lot of implications going into this show for No Mercy. First and foremost, what do you think of the women's gauntlet match?
Yeah, not surprised yet not surprised all at the same time. Jada Parker picking up the win here.
Yeah.
Now your number 1 contender.
Yeah, I think it's rightfully due. It's excited to see her get a big title shot at the upcoming No Mercy event. The stuff with Wendy Chu and Lola Fice, like Wendy Chu, man, it's just like she freaks me out, but I kind of like it. So, and I'll leave it at that. Of course, Axiom and Nathan Frazier trying to get back their winning ways, going up against some other members from Chase U. And that main event, that big main event, the number 1 contender triple threat match with Pete Dunne going up against Wesley and Joe Hendry. And we all believed in Joe Hendry. And holy crap, Joe Hendry is the number 1 contender for the NXT Championship as he will challenge Ethan Page Sunday, September 1st at NXT No Mercy. That is going to be a huge one. Also, that NXT Women's Championship matchup that we alluded to as well. We got a rematch for the Tag Team Championship as Axiom and Nathan Frazier are going to challenge Chase U. And how about Obo D'Angelo? That is not going to be a walk in the park, let me tell you. So already NXT No Mercy is looking like a freaking solid show, man, and cannot wait September 1st to see it. Well, my friend, Mr. B-Roll, it's that time in the show we need to spice things up a bit. Let's go to Spicy Guac with a spicy take.
Spicy Guac letting you know, fuck Vince Russo. Also, fuck Vince Russo.
Well, why don't you tell us how you really feel about it, bro? Love you, Spicy. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Let's talk about solid show. Of course, Hammerstone going over in that triple threat and qualified for the Ultimate X match that will take place at Emergence. Also, we got to see Rosemary was in action. And then, oh man, I was so conflicted on that that 6-way or that 6-person tag with Rhino and PCO and Saya going up against Steph DeLander and Khan and Madman Fulton. Just like it just didn't feel right, damn it. Matt Cardona, just stay out of Steph DeLander's business. I mean, come on. Her and PCO. This Friday, and I'm excited because I will be there ringside for this event. And of course, you can catch a vlog on that next week here on Cold TV. But this
It is the draws between Mace, Azumi, and Tomoka Inaba that may throw this whole block into extreme mathematical chaos. So I said that at the start of the weekend. And with the final night of block action and happening earlier today, I think mathematical chaos is an understatement. But here's everything that went down. Maika would go undefeated and go 6-0 with a victory over Manami in Red Stars A. Meanwhile, Natsupoi and Hazuki would wrestle to a time limit draw, giving them both a point apiece. However, even with a tie, Natsupoi advances and Hazuki is eliminated from playoff contention. I would like to apologize for something that I said in yesterday's video. I had said that Saori Ano had clinched a playoff spot in the 5-Star Grand Prix. I misspoke. She was leading the Blue Stars B block at the moment with 7 points, forgetting that Shorty and Starlight Kid had one match left to go and could easily eliminate Saori Ano with a victory. And sure enough, Shorty would defeat Miyu Amasaki, which meant Saori Ano needed a victory against Koguma to advance. And the last time Koguma stopped anybody from reaching the 5-star final, it was back in 2022 when she defeated Utami Hayashishita and stopped her from competing in the 5-star final. And sure enough, lightning struck twice again as Koguma would upset Saori Anou, which meant that Saori needed a Starlight Kid loss in order to advance to the playoff. However, the Sky Tiger had other plans as she would defeat Xena by submission, meaning that Saori Anou is eliminated and Shuri and Starlight Kid would advance to the quarterfinal round. Now, here's where the chaos begins. In Blue Stars B, Suzu Suzuki would defeat Rana Yagami. Tekla's arrogance got the best of her and she got caught in the Kish Kaisei, eliminating Tekla from playoff contention. And as for Hanan, she would upset Sayaka Tani in her final block match, giving us a tie in second place with Suzu Suzuki and Hanan. Meaning that now, Suzu Suzuki and Hanan will face each other in a play-in on Wednesday in Shinkaba, where the winner will get the final Blue Stars B block spot. And Red Stars B had its chaos as well, as Meisera would defeat Tam Nakano, making Tam winless in the 5-star Grand Prix. Saya Ida would upset Azumi, giving her her only blemish in this year's 5-star Grand Prix. And Mayu Iwatani would defeat Tomoka Inoba, which now means there's going to be a play-in for Red Stars B. All three of these ladies will be in eliminator-style singles matches. They will each face each other in singles matches, and the first person to gain 2 victories will advance to the quarterfinal round. We got play-ins and tournament matches galore, as Shingaba will now take center stage for the 5-star Grand Prix playoff. Go ahead and click that plus button, and remember, Joshi Wrestling is for everyone.
All right, I think we're back. I think we're back in the saddle here, B-Roll. Are we good?
I think we're good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, a little bit. Not sure what happened there. I would like to just go 1 week where we don't have technical difficulties. But we do the best that we can. Well, let's get back to talking about that emergence card. We mentioned we got the 8-man tag, Macklin and Young. We also got that big knockouts tag match with Jordan Grace and Spitfire going up against Ash by Elegance, Alicia Edwards, and Masha Slamovich. Kushida one-on-one with Frankie Kazarian. But, oh my goodness, an Ultimate X matchup as the Ultimate X returns with Speedball Mike Bailey putting that title on the line against Zachary Wentz, Hammerstone, Jason Hodge, Riley Osborne from NXT, and Laredo Kid. That is going to be amazing. But if that wasn't enough, this main event, holy shit. Nick Nemeth, Josh Alexander, TNA World titles on the line, and an Iron Man match. 1 hour of seeing these guys go at it. How excited are you for this, my friend?
The last 2 matches alone, it's gonna be nuts.
Yeah,
gosh, the 2 of them in an Iron Man match. We've gotten to see each of them live, and
yeah, it's gonna be bonkers, my friend. I cannot wait to see it. And like I say, I'm so happy going to be there ringside for this. And we'll have a vlog from that coming to you next week here on Cole TV. Well, let's go back to AEW because we had some great shows that was in the UK as build up to All In. Dynamite this past week was awesome. Got to see Chris Jericho go up against Tommy Billington, which it was just cool to see Tommy Billington on AEW television. Tony Storm going up against Saraya was a fun matchup, kind of a throwback there. And that amazing Claudio Castagnoli, Kazuchika Okada matchup that did go to a draw. But Dynamite was an awesome show. Rampage this past week, actually, well, I'm biased. It had one of my wrestling wives was on it, and Mina Shirakawa. So, it was a great show as far as I was concerned. I don't care about anything else that happened. Mina was on it, so it was good. But I did like the matchup with Gates of Agony and Iron Savages. That was a fun one, and the Von Erichs against the Outrunners, pretty solid. Like some tag team wrestling on there. So I thought it was actually Rampage wasn't that bad of a show. And going to Collision from Saturday night, course, we've got that qualified matchup where we did find out the PAC and the BCC would go in advance to All In. Of course, we got Hook going up against Big Bill.
I just love that the crowd would not boo Big Bill. It was
Right.
hilarious.
Yeah, it was yeah, now that's one good thing that's about the learning tree. As much as we harp on Jericho, like the stuff Big Bill's doing is pretty fun. Of course, Willow Nightingale go up against Harley Cameron. AEW, they had an awesome week in the UK. I mean, what more can we say that we haven't already said on the show? It was a great weekend. We mentioned we already talked about the 5-star Grand Prix, so we're gonna skip past this to go into the N1 victory. I know Best Gout is excited because holy shit, we got a final, and this is an epic final, as it is going to be Kaito Kiyomiya go up against Keno. To put this in perspective, in Noah right now, that you could easily say this rivalry between these two, these are the two top faces of Noah. There's no doubt about it. And you could easily compare this to like an Okada versus a Tanahashi final, and that great rivalry. And this match is going to be insane. It is taking place September 1st, and the winner will become the victor in the N4 tournament, which has been an awesome tournament so far because, Japan, they always do their round robin tournaments. They do them right. So excited to see what's going to happen with this. Me personally, I know Best Scout's going to be rooting for Keno. I can't argue with that, but I don't know. There's something about Kaito Kiyomiya. Like, I love that guy. So. Hey, what's up, Austin? How are you? And thank you for joining us tonight here on PW60. I hope you are doing well. Let's talk about this. Is some interesting news. One absolute Ricky Starks looks like he may now, in fact, be a free agent.
Nobody knows.
Nobody truly knows. But I mean, this to me is plain as day. Like, whenever he is a free agent, he's going to fucking WWE. He doesn't. I mean, he's done with AEW as far as I'm concerned. So whether you love his AEW run or not, I just felt like it was great. But they got him to a certain point, and it was like, well, what do we do now?
Yeah, I have thought about this a lot because I do love me some Ricky Starks.
Oh yeah.
Now, no matter what it is, whether he was going to be back on AEW TV, whether he's going to be back on, or go to WWE, I'm just ready to see Ricky Starks on TV again. That is my consensus.
There you go. And I can agree and concur with that. But I think you will be seen on WWE television really soon. But I tell you who you're not going to be seeing anytime soon on WWE TV. Oh, that's right. One Pat McAfee, pretty much wrapping things up for now with the WWE, as he is now going into ESPN and College Game Day, which I find is still kind of weird because it's like, okay, College Game Day. It's like he's there on Saturdays. Maybe they prep differently. I don't know. He's a busy guy. But it does look like Pat McAfee will be coming back in January, and how appropriate, right when Raw is going to Netflix. So that's going to be very interesting to say the least. Did you see McAfee and Sheamus this past weekend on the College Game Day?
Yeah,
They're drinking pints and stuff. McAfee getting drunk as shit on the TV. It was just like ESPN doesn't fucking care. Like, whatever. You do you, Pat.
Yeah, I mean, living his best life. He'll be back he'll be back in time for the Rumble.
That's the best way of putting it. Yeah, he'll be back in time for the Rumble, which will be in our hometown of Indianapolis as well as Pat's hometown. So, Pat, I'm sure a big proponent of getting that. So that's going to be exciting for him to get him back in the WWE. Now, we've been talking about this for a long time here on the show, and it looks like it may finally be coming to light as this deal with AEW and Warner Brothers Discovery is pretty much a done deal, as they say. If the rumors are true, this is about to net AEW a buku amount of money. Some are saying 2 times what their original deal was worth. And the most exciting thing, I think, for us fans is the opportunities this allows with, obviously, I feel like they will be going to Max, and hopefully the pay-per-views will now be accessible on Max. They have so much content that AEW has done over the years. So this, to me, is a massive win. I'm so excited to see what happens here. And hopefully, like we say, it's sooner rather than later that this deal finally happens. Well, I can say this: there's a lot of things in 2024 I did not expect to talk about, and that was on my bucket list. But this is another one of them. There is some beef, some serious beef, between one Brody King and the Disco Inferno. The Disco Inferno.
Disco Inferno.
That's right, the Disco Inferno, because he's. God, I don't even. Okay, I'm going to say this once and be done with it. I cannot. I respect anybody that stepped in that ring. I mean, you got to, like putting their lives on the line for what they do, for their art, for the craft of pro wrestling that we love. That being said, taking that out of the equation, put it aside, like Glenn Gilberty didn't draw a fucking dime. The only way this guy gets fucking recognition is if he riles up and trolls and just says some of the stupidest shit on his podcast with his buddy Conan. And why the fuck? To me, if I was Conan, I'd look at him as like he's that annoying, stupid fucking friend I got to keep around for whatever reason. Like he must have some serious shit on Conan, because this man should be not even discussed. Like he was the fucking Disco Inferno. The Disco Inferno, one of the shittiest fucking gimmicks of all time. Fuck the Disco Inferno. And as Brody King put it, fuck you, Disco Inferno. This is a thing. It happened. I don't fucking know. I don't get it. But seriously, fuck Disco Inferno. If we never talk about Disco Inferno on this show, on this channel ever again, I will be happy as a pig in shit. So, now this was pretty cool. About like what Jack Perry did with the TNT Championship. Like, so he pretty much redesigned it, made his own. What do you think of like this kind of this video that they played, this breakdown of what he did to that TNT title, B-roll?
It's hardcore, man.
It is. It's very hardcore. I can dig it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And man, oh man, look at the man that is John Jack Perry. God, he's a beautiful man. I said what I said. But no, this was pretty badass, I think. I since Jack Perry has come back, since Jack Perry's been a part of the Elite, I honestly have enjoyed everything he's done, man. I am really a fan of it, and I'm curious to see where his title reign's going to go from here, because I don't think he's dropping that TNT title anytime soon. What do you think?
I don't think he needs to. I don't see a reason for him to.
No, I don't think so at all. So it's going to be interesting to see. Well, B-roll, Mr. B-roll, we had a huge weekend ourselves, not only with everything that was going on in the world of wrestling as far as Homecoming and All In. We've been talking about, we've been hyping it for weeks. We got to be so privileged to be a part of the Schmitty, which we talked about for months here on Cole TV. Finally took place this past Friday, and we're so excited to share with you some footage from that. And we have a vlog coming out this upcoming week here on Cole TV. But here's a little preview, a little sneak peek of what you can expect from our Schmitty vlog. We are here. We've been talking about it for months on Cole TV. The Schmitty is here. Isn't that right, Barnacle Boy? Oh, are you thinking of getting in the ring? You better not. You better not. Aww. Oh no. Oh, he's got to suplex him back in the ring. My goodness! This thing isn't even officially under the ring. Oh, that would be me. So enamored with this action, forgetting to ring that bell. Oh. Whoa! Man, the Schmitty was something else, and we are so excited to share that footage with you later this week on Cole TV. And you saw there in the video, we got to make our color commentary debut with it. If I do say so, I think we did pretty good for our first time. And also, I was the timekeeper, unbeknownst to me, which was interesting too. So it's like, I ring the bell. It's like, oh, it's right by me. But anyways, I digress. But seriously, we can't thank our good friend Cole Ragdrick enough he put on an amazing show. He's such an amazing person. We love you dearly here at Cole TV. You are a brother to us, and to be a part of the show was truly a blessing. And it was an amazing show. So can't thank him enough. And it was an awesome time. It's some memories we're going to cherish for a lifetime, and we're going to be able to share them with you here on Cole TV. Oh, joy to go from that amazing moment to talk about this asshole. But this is kind of cool, though. I think this is fucking great. The Hulk Hogan biopic supposedly was going to start Chris Hemsworth has been canned. It is in the garbage because people realize how big of a fucking asshole Terry Bollea is. So happy that we're not going to have to see this shit. Now, we talked a couple weeks ago. Apparently, they are going to be doing a movie on Hulk Hogan, but it's going to be him in his later life, where part of the Gawker deal or whatever. But seriously, I don't want to see a fucking biography on this piece of shit. Like, I don't need to see that. I ain't got time for that. Why would you want to waste your time watching, like, what, with a bunch of lies and bullshit about how he slammed Andre the Giant 10 days before he fucking died, and just fuck Hulk Hogan, fuck Terry Bollea. I mean, the shit that this motherfucker spewed out of his mouth, like the blatant, like, racist, he is a waste of space. And speaking of which, like, this week there was also a report coming out where somebody got injured at like one of his like meet and greets for his beer he's selling now. Imagine that. I don't like talking about him. You know how I feel about him. Terry Bollea is the scum of the earth. He can go fuck himself. And that's my final thoughts on Terry Bollea. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Fuck you, Terry. This, though, this is fucking bonkers. Dory Funk Jr. at the ripe old age of 83 not only competed in the ring in Japan, he competed in a fucking death match, an exploding ring death match. What the fuck, B-roll? Like, I think this picture, look at the referee with the goggles and stuff. It's just like, what the fuck, man? You talk about middle-aged and crazy. Holy shit.
Middle-aged?
Not even middle-aged and crazy. I mean, like, that was the same for Terry Funk, towards the end of their life and crazy. Like, which I hope it doesn't happen anytime soon, but just fucking nuts. I can't, like, see, it's leaving me, like words cannot come out. I'm just, like, speechless. I'm like, how is this a thing? And once again, this is another one of those things. 2024, this was not on my fucking bingo card. Dory Funk competing in a fucking death match in Japan. Like, what are your thoughts on this?
Speechless is the best way to describe it, honestly. Gosh. At 30-something years old, I can't even imagine getting in the wrestling ring, period. And here's an 80-year-old doing a death match.
It's fucking nuts. Completely random. Speaking of random, like, that's a perfect segue. Let's go to Brian with Brian's Random Moment of the Week. Brandon, I can't talk. Random Moment of the Week here in PW60.
Harry is unofficially a part of PW60. He's part of Brian's House of Random. Not wearing the hat. I need to see the barber. Looking bad. All right, so back again for the Random Moment of the Week, and I'm going to continue the What If series. Probably pick that up next week. I did not get to watch All In, unfortunately, but thanks, Stormy. She's pulling on the thing here, so shake your camera work, of course. So what I did happen to see, and you probably know it by now, you've seen it by now. If not, I'm not trying to spoil it for you, but hopefully you know. Bryan Danielson, of course, winning the AEW World Championship. Now, I had this trivia. I never asked it on here yet. Random trivia about certain championships. I did this one on the Tick to the Talk and You Don't Stop one time a while back. And who would be, of course, the only people to have won the WWF/E, AEW, and Ring of Honor World Championships? Now, obviously, CM Punk was the only one who had that accomplishment until Sunday's pay-per-view. And Bryan Danielson joining him. Then I got to thinking about it, and it's interesting too. You look at how both men won those respective titles. Punk won each one first, Danielson won each one later. In 2005, in June of 2005, of course, Punk won the Ring of Honor World Championship, cut the famous promo, turned heel before he left for the WWE. A few months later in September, Danielson beat James Gibson, who of course beat CM Punk, to win the Ring of Honor World title. Then, of course, we go to 2011, and Punk won the WWE Championship, Danielson winning his in, I think, 2014, if I'm not mistaken. And then, of course, now we go from 2022, when Punk held the AEW title, somewhere in that time frame, to now. So it's kind of interesting, not just those two men, but also in order, Punk winning each first, then Danielson winning each second. So, I don't know. I thought that was kind of neat. How about that? All right. Bye for now.
Oh, Brian, we love you, and we thank you so much for the interesting thought there. So, and how apropos with what happened this week, So, well, we love Brian, and we also love our wrestling content creators here on PW60. And this week, our Ruby Ringside wrestling content creator of the week is one Tony, who I found her through our good friend Chrissy Tina. And she does some hilarious sketches, man, with like backstage, like WWE and stuff. It's so fucking funny. Like, seriously, go follow her, give her a follow, because she is our Ruby Ringside Wrestling content creator of the week here on PW60. Well, this is awesome news. It was announced through Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling that one Mario Ronella. I know I just butchered his name. God, I can't say words. I'm tired from this amazing weekend that we had B-roll. I think I'm getting down to the wire here, buddy. May have to have you just do the rest of the talking. No. Mario Ranallo announced that he will be a part of Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling, which I think is badass, because if you look back at the history of him, like, he started there in like the Stampede Wrestling that was revived there in that 2000 there. So it's kind of cool, like a homecoming for him, so to speak. So, and he's a great wrestling color commentator too. So this is going to be awesome. Cannot wait to see him calling a show again. And now their first show will take place there on October the 19th and the 20th. And you can catch it on Triller, which is going to be freaking awesome. So you can watch it at home. Also, big shout out to one Claudio Castagnoli, who ended up winning the CMLL Grand Prix. Man, he had a busy ass week this week,
Yeah, he
working.
went over, and then he went back, and then he went over, and then he went back.
Yeah. And now he's got the CMLL Grand Prix. He's also now a trios champion. Killing it. Like Claudio. I love me some Claudio, man. But congratulations to him on winning the Grand Prix there in CMLL. And oh boy, we found this news out this week as well. Forbidden Door next year will take place in London. It'll be August the 24th. So Forbidden Door will make its debut there in London with New Japan Pro Wrestling and All Elite Wrestling. So now it all makes sense why All In next year will be taking place in Texas. It's because London's going to be getting Forbidden Door. But AEW had a slew of huge announcements coming out this from All In Sunday. We also found out too that Grand Slam, there's taking it on the road, as it will take place in Australia at the Suncorp Stadium on February the 15th of next year. You can catch Grand Slam from Australia. That's going to be huge. Like we said at the beginning of the show, it just seems like all is right now in All Elite Wrestling. It's good to see them doing these big shows. And I mean, I don't care what anybody says, man. You look at that crowd at Wembley, and that crowd was amazing. Like, and I'm sure the Australia crowd and everything else they're doing is going to be awesome, and I cannot wait to see it. Well, as we close out the show here tonight, we found some sad news literally hours before we went on the air. You saw it at the beginning of the show. We've lost another great in the world of pro wrestling, as one Sid Vicious, Sid Udy, has passed away. Apparently had a bout of cancer. With that, even I just hate to hear that. It's crazy too, because he was at like the gathering a month ago, and everything seemed fine. But I mean, that cancer is such an awful, awful disease. So sad to hear about this, because I gotta tell you, B-roll, like I grew up, like I liked Sid, man. I would like Psycho Sid Vicious, whatever you wanted to call him. Like I thought he had an amazing career. He's a guy who should have been in the Hall of Fame, and he will go in the Hall of Fame someday. But I think he's a guy who doesn't get nearly enough credit as he should, because I mean, he was a great performer. One of the very few wrestlers who can say they both held the WCW and the WWF World Championship. Not a whole lot of people can say that, but Sid is one of those guys. So he truly will be missed. And we here at PW60, we want to wish condolences to him and his family. As like I say, the wrestling world lost another great in one Sid Vicious. Holy crap, Mr. B-roll! Like, we're actually finishing on time for the first time ever. I think that is a record for PW60. So guess that's what happens when you have to move things around and mess with technical difficulties. Well, nonetheless, it was an amazing week this past week in pro wrestling, and I can't wait to see what's going to be in store this week. So much more. What's going to happen on AEW? Because now we're 2 weeks away from All In, or All Out, I should say. It's going to be an awesome time. What a great time to be a pro wrestling fan. Well, we want to thank you all for watching us here tonight, and stay tuned all this week as we've got some amazing content coming your way here on Old TV. Everybody have a safe week, and we'll see you next time on another episode of Pro Wrestling 60.